I will call to order this February 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority. Due to circumstances related to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being conducted remotely by teleconference in accordance with Ohio law and the guidelines set forth by the Ohio Department of Health. I would ask all participants to please leave your microphones on mute unless and until you are called upon to speak, at which time please remember to unmute. Will all persons please, if you are able, rise and follow along my recitation of our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson.
Present.
Mr. Lumpkin.
Here.
Mr. Corrado.
Present.
Ms. Hairston.
Present.
Ms. Hurd.
Here.
Ms. Howard.
Present.
Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Present.
And Mr. Weckesser.
Here.
Thank you. We have 8 in attendance.
Thank you. The roll having been called and we have 8 in attendance, I will declare that we do have a quorum present. The bylaws of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority require approval by the Board of Trustees of each board meeting agenda prior to the meeting. And prior to today's meeting, a copy of today's meeting agenda was presented for review to all board members. Are there any requested changes or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, the chair will declare the agenda accepted as presented. Also, prior to today's meeting, the minutes of the January 5, 2021 board meeting were presented for review to all board members. Do any board members request a reading of the minutes or suggest any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the chair will declare the minutes of the January 5, 2021 board meeting approved as presented. Next, we're up for committee reports, and first the Finance and Personnel Committee, Ms. Belinda Matthews Stenson.
Good afternoon and thank you. The Finance and Personnel and Planning Committees held a teleconference meeting on January 19th, and as a result, the Finance Personnel Committee is recommending 3 action items for the board's consideration. All items are considered essential to the delivery of transportation services to the public. Action item number 2, hydro excavation services. The purpose of this procurement is for Greater Dayton RTA to contract with a qualified vendor for hydro excavation services. The contractor will be required to hydro excavate whole foundations that cannot be prepared using standard foundation excavation. This technique is utilized to avoid destroying underground items such as water lines and electrical systems. This project and process are in accordance with our core value of stewardship by improving and maintaining our infrastructure and using procedures to keep any disruption or damage to underground utilities and the surrounding areas to a minimum as we maintain our commitment to the community, environment, and customers. Mr. Darren Brown provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and supporting information is included in today's board package. Darren is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Badger Daylighting for hydro excavation services for $203,400 plus a 15% contingency of $30,510 for an estimated total of $233,910. This procurement will be funded with operating funds.
This is Adrian. I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and it has been properly seconded. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments at this time? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to take a roll. Please indicate that you are in favor of the motion by indicating in the positive, and also against, like sign, or abstention. Mr. Secretary, if you could call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
yes,
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you. The motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the full board for review and vote, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you. Action item number 3, architectural engineering professional services. The purpose of this procurement is to contract with qualified architectural and engineering firms to provide the RTA with professionals to lead various capital projects included in the budget. RTA anticipated awarding a 5-year contract with 2 one-year options. This project is consistent with RTA's core value of stewardship as our commitment to managing our time, talent, and resources efficiently and responsibly. A qualification-based procurement method was used where evaluation criteria other than price was used to determine the most qualified firms. After the top firms were selected by the evaluation team, pricing was requested. Mr. Rosinski presented the action item at our committee meeting, and all details are included in today's board package. Bob is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve contract awards to Allen Scherer Associates, LLC, and Chaplin Architecture with an emphasis on architecture and engineering, and to Barge Design Solutions with an emphasis on engineering for the hourly rates detailed in the board package for 5 years and 2 option years. The total dollar amount will not exceed the annual budgeted amounts. This procurement will be partially funded with federal capital and operating funds.
This is Sharon Hairston. I second it.
Thank you. Motion has been properly made by Ms. Matthews Stinson, seconded by Ms. Hairston. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
yes,
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Motion having been properly made and seconded and presented for the full board for review and vote, and the roll having been called, the motion carries and it is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 4, rescind safety and security policy number 1. RTA staff is updating our employee standards of performance document to address a number of issues requiring change, with plans to publish the new document in the next 90 days. Portions of safety and security policy number 1 are incorporated in the SOP, which can cause confusion. And additionally, staff is moving the offense of using electronic devices while operating an RTA vehicle from a Group 2 violation to the zero tolerance category. Mrs. Stanforth presented the action item at our committee meeting, and the details are included in today's board package. Staff is available to answer any questions the board may have at this time. Hearing none, based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve rescinding Safety and Security Policy number 1, effective on the date of implementation of the revised Employee Standards of Performance.
This is Sharon Hairston. I second the motion.
Thank you. Motion's been made by Ms. Matthews Stenson, seconded by Ms. Hairston. Is there any additional discussion, questions, or comment? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
Yes.
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stenson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 in agreement.
Thank you. The motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the full board for review and the roll having been called, the motion carries and is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We move on to the Planning Committee and Ms. Howard.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committee met for a jointly held meeting on January 19th, and as a result, the Planning Committee is recommending 2 action items for the board's consideration. Action item number 5, Connect On-Demand Program Adoption and Expansion. Mr. Brandon Palachicchio explained that in 2017, the Board of Trustees approved to enter into agreements with qualified transportation providers to deliver a mobility on-demand pilot program called Connect On Demand. The overarching goal of the on-demand program is to enhance and increase mobility access by serving previously underserved and unserved communities. Since first launching and with over 100,000 trips completed, the on-demand program continues to ensure customers have access to quality, convenient, and direct multimodal mobility services. Not only has on-demand provided quality service, but due to the program's low operating cost, RTA was able to redirect some of its bus fleet and operating funds to create better service on other routes and support the creation of the flyer. The on-demand program has also successfully completed RTA's existing service with over 70% of customer trips connecting to and from bus routes, creating an effective first and last mile connection. Mr. Palachicchio provided a detailed presentation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. He is available to answer any questions you may have. Hearing none and based upon the recommendation of the Planning Committee, I move to adopt the Connect On-Demand Service Program as a regularly RTA service offering, including the expansion and creation of services. Future on-Connect on-demand budgets will be approved by the Board of Trustees as part of the annual budget process based on estimated need, thereby allowing for flexibility in annual amounts.
This is Adrian. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion made by Ms. Howard, seconded by Ms. Hurd. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
yes,
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson, Ms. Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you. Motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the full board for review and vote, and the roll having been called, the motion carries and is approved.
Thank you. Action item number 6, Connect on Demand. Mr. Palachicchio explained that RTA is seeking approval to enter into partnership agreements with qualified mobility providers to support the Connect on Demand program. RTA solicited proposals through various sources and sent it directly to 27 transportation providers. In the end, RTA received 3 proposals. It evaluated these providers' proposals based on the requirements outlined within the scope of work and their reasonableness of cost. A price analysis was also performed, and all provider fares were determined fair and reasonable. The recommended transportation providers will represent RTA and must meet safety, performance, and quality measures set by RTA. This not only applies to the transportation providers recommended today, but any future qualified providers that may be added to the program. Mr. Palachicchio provided a detailed presentation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in today's board package. He is available to answer any questions you may have at this time. Hearing none and based upon the recommendation of the Planning Committee, I move to award a contract to Anton's Cab Service LLC, Razor LLC operating as Uber, and Lyft Incorporated for a total estimated award not to exceed $600,000 per year or $3 million for a 5-year period. Funds will be divided as needed between the providers based upon customer choice of providers. In addition to that, the Chief Executive Officer is authorized to carry out all actions necessary to add additional qualified providers as needed throughout the duration of the contract period.
This is Adrian. I will second it.
Thank you. We have a motion's been properly made and by Ms. Howard and seconded by Ms. Hurd. Is there any further questions, comments, or discussion other than my comment that for the folks listening at home, our previous action item was to authorize the program, and then this one is to go ahead and award the contract. So they sounded a little bit the same, but they're different. So other than that point of clarification, anything else from the board? Hearing nothing more, I'd ask the secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
yes,
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
and Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you. Again, the motion having been properly made and seconded and presented to the full board for review and vote, and the roll having been called, the motion carries and is approved.
Thank you. Some other housekeeping items. At the committee meeting, Mr. Polachicchio also provided a summary document of recent activities in the Customer and Business Development Department. He shared that starting yesterday, RTA customers were offered a more cost-friendly payment experience with the introduction of fare capping via Tap Pay, RTA's mobile ticketing app. With fare capping, customers will be limited or capped in the amount they pay within a given time frame once they have ridden enough times to accumulate the equivalent of a daily or 31-day monthly pass. This means no matter how many essential trips a customer takes throughout any given day or rolling 31-day period, any additional trips during that period of time will be no charge. This concludes my report, Mr. President, and I will be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Again, just a comment and my tip of the hat to staff and Mr. Polachicchio in particular. This fare capping, I think, is a game changer for a large number of our ridership, so that you pay one price for the month, and once you hit the certain cap, then the rest of the month is free, so you don't have to go and load up another pass. So it'll be, again, I really think a game changer. Thank you, Ms. Howard.
Thank you.
Investment Advisory Committee, Mr. Weckerser.
Thank you. The Investment Advisory Committee met on January 21st for an informative session regarding current topics in the investment arena, RTA's investment portfolio, and sales tax revenue. The committee does not have any action items today. However, I have informational items to share. First, Meter Investments Economic Update and Financial Presentation. Ms. Stanek began her presentation stating 2020 was a year for the record books with the following highlights. NASDAQ had the fastest greater than 10% decline occurring over 3 days. For the first time in history, prices of oil futures were negative. The longest economic expansion of 128 months ended in February. Various Standard & Poor's quickest declines in history. Largest single quarterly change in gross domestic product, second quarter minus 31%. Largest weekly initial jobless claims number ever at 6.9 million. Unemployment went from 4.4% in March to its highest rate ever, 14.7% in April. Also, the largest monthly decrease in retail sales, minus 15% in April. Largest monthly increase in retail sales, plus 18% in May. And most expensive economic stimulus package ever at $2.2 trillion. The sustainability of an economic recovery remains dependent on the path of the COVID-19 virus and the successful administration of the vaccine. The Federal Reserve continues to reiterate their forecast of keeping the overnight federal funds target in the current range of 0% to 0.25% through 2023. During the fourth quarter of 2020, both the Institute for Supply Management Manufacturing and non-manufacturing indices held in positive territory. Oil and diesel prices have recently started to creep up, but still remain below 2019 levels. The December 2020 retail price of diesel was $2.50 per gallon, or about $75 per barrel. Consumer spending remains below pre-COVID levels. While the unemployment rate has improved to 6.7%, initial jobless claims have increased recently. Ms. Stanek stated this is yet another sign of economic turmoil brought on by restrictions in activity set by the government aimed at combating the virus spread. Many economists generally see the 2021 economy as starting off slow, but then gaining momentum as the year progresses and the COVID-19 vaccine is distributed. Inflation, as measured by the core personal consumption expenditure index, dropped to 1.40%. Inflation expectations remain below the Fed's target of 2%. Interest rates remain at historic lows, with the 2-year U.S. Treasury yielding 0.12% and the 5-year U.S. Treasury yielding 0.36%. The yield on Star Ohio dropped to 0.12%. In regards to RTA's investment portfolio, the par value of the investment portfolio on December 31st, 2020 was $33.26 million and carried a weighted average maturity of 2.25 years. The weighted average yield on the portfolio is 0.87%, and the annual interest income projected on the current portfolio is $289,000. Meter's recommendation to the committee was that we have securities totaling $3.4 million maturing in the first quarter of 2021. Assuming cash flow permits, the recommendation is to reinvest these funds in permissible securities with the objective of maintaining the weighted average maturity of the portfolio around 2 years. Committee members unanimously agreed with Meter's recommendation, and this will be the path followed until the next Investment Advisory Committee meeting, which is scheduled for April 22nd, 2021. In sales tax news, Ms. Stanford reported October 2020 sales tax receipts equal $3.82 million. This represents an increase of $430,000 over October 2019. Year-to-date October 2020 sales tax receipts equal $33.76 million. This represents an increase of $1 million over year-to-date October 2019. That concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weckerser. Any questions for Tom or his committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Chief Executive Officer's report. Mr. Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to add to the update that was provided to the board last week, but I am available to answer any questions that the board may have.
Any board member have a question for Mr. Donahue?
That's the shortest report I think Mark has ever given.
I did that for you, Sharon.
Short timer means short reports. So, does anyone have any old business to bring before the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. And I will tee this one up. As the board knows, Mr. Donahue has given us his notice that he wishes to retire. Despite us roping him in his office and trying to talk him out of that, we have reluctantly accepted that notice of retirement. And as a result, a three-person committee consisting of myself, Ms. Matthew Stenson, and Mr. Weckerser then made a recommendation to the board in executive session for the appointment of a new chief executive officer. So I would like to now bring before the board formally as resolution number 2021-2-1, and I will read the resolution into the record. Whereas the position of Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority has been filled by Mr. Mark Donahue since January 1st, 2006, and whereas CEO Mark Donahue has informed the Board of Trustees of the GDRTA of his intention to retire from his position as CEO and as an employee of the GDRTA effective April 1st, 2021. And whereas the board, following a history of long and distinguished service to the GDRTA by Mr. Donahue, reluctantly accepts the notice from Mr. Donahue with best wishes from the board for his retirement. And whereas the Board of Trustees has determined that it is in the best interests of the GDRTA to promote Deputy CEO Robert Rosinski to the position of Chief Executive Officer, now therefore be it resolved that Robert Rosinski is appointed as Chief Executive Officer at an annual salary of $230,000 effective April 1st, 2021. And as an officer of the agency, Mr. Rosinski will serve at the pleasure of the board under conditions and terms established by the Chief Executive Officer Employment Agreement. And if so approved, I will sign by action of the Board of Trustees of the Greater Dayton Regional Transit Authority this second day of February 2021. I would move that the resolution be adopted.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Lumpkin. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion regarding the resolution? Hearing none, I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mr. Corrado,
Yes.
Ms. Hairston,
yes,
Ms. Hurd,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews Stinson,
Yes.
Mr. Weckesser.
Yes.
All 8 votes are in agreement.
All right, the matter having been properly moved, seconded, and presented to the full board for review, and the motion, or the roll having been called, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted, and I will sign that. And now that the resolution has been adopted, I and Mr. Rosinski will sign the employment agreement following this meeting. And let me just take the moment to, at this point, we'll say more later at our March meeting, but congratulations to both Mark and big congratulations to Bob. And the board looks forward to a long and productive working association with Bob. Do we have, you can clap it, a clap it, a clap, clap, clap. Do we have anyone who has signed up for public comment?
No, sir, not at this time.
Very well. Let's do board member announcements. And I'm going to just do from my screen because that's going to be easiest for me to just do the gallery. So Ms. Hurd, you go first.
Congratulations to Mark on your retirement. Congratulations to Bob on your new assignment, and I'm looking forward to a smooth transition.
Thank you. Mr. Corrado.
Congratulations to both of them. And I'm going to save my more formal congratulations for Mark for March and then move on to April when Bob gets in. So, but this is a great move. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Vince. Sharon Howard.
Ditto, Adrian and Vince. Congratulations to both gentlemen. And I would also like to thank and commend Brandon's team for once again setting being a good steward and leader when it comes to making sure that RTA is engaged in things that are happening in the community. I've been seeing on social media our Black History Month efforts, and kudos and congratulations to the team for their efforts.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews Stinson.
Congratulations to Bob and Mark. And I want to say congratulations to the finance team on your recent award from the state of Ohio.
Thank you. Ms. Hairston.
I would like to ditto Ms. Howard and Ms. Stinson's comments. Of course, Mark was hard-headed and went ahead and decided to retire anyway. He got jealous, I think, of the fact that some of us are already retired. But anyway, I'd really like to commend all of those, and especially the comments that were made by Ms. Stinson and Ms. Howard.
Thank you. Mr. Lumpkin.
Yeah, I'd like to ditto that. Even though Mark is sliding out of here without my street cars, I still want to congratulate him on a very good career, and it's been a pleasure working with him. Congratulations also to Bob. I will look forward to passing on my love and torment to get streetcars here in Dayton onto him to where he can go on and deny me that opportunity. So congratulations to you both.
On our streets already have cars on them. I don't understand.
So it begins, Bob. So it begins.
Thank you, John. Mr. Weckeser.
Yeah, I'd just add my congratulations to both Mark and Bob. Excited for both of you and wish you both well. I know we'll have a chance next month to go into a little more detail, but congratulations.
Thank you, Tom. As for my own comments, I want to echo what Ms. Matthew Stenson said about a meeting that we had last week with the state auditor, Keith Faber, who came here to Dayton to present to the finance team. Again, it almost kind of sounds like Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl. Once again, it's our finance team getting the award of excellence from the state auditor for another perfect audit. And we almost kind of take it for granted after a while, but it really is a very big deal. And for him to go out of his way to come here personally to make that award was very special. I again want to repeat what I said earlier about my compliments to all of the staff for what I am very passionate about, and that is this whole fare capping idea. I think it just is great that we are very innovative and forward thinking in an idea like that, as well as the tap pay, which I know continues to get rolled out. And again, I want to congratulate all of staff for keeping our numbers. Are they down during the pandemic? Well, yeah, but compared to other transit agencies around the country, our numbers are robust. You know, we're out there and we're still running and we're still keeping the service operative and clean and safe. So congrats to all of staff for that. Again, more as Valentine's Day is just a little more than a week away. More roses to Mr. Donahue for a job well done. We'll have more on that at the March meeting. But again, a big bouquet for Mr. Rosinski for a well-deserved. First of all, as I indicated, we got to watch Bob on the job for the last number of months or years, and a well-deserved promotion. He's the right man for the job, and I think I speak for the whole board, we're very, very pleased. So that's board member comments and announcements. Is there any other matters to come before the board at this time? Hearing none, I will simply remind the board of upcoming meetings, committee meetings. The jointly held committee meetings are February 16, and our next board meeting is March 2nd. And unless and until you are further notified, we will still be doing everything remotely. So with nothing further, I will declare that this meeting is adjourned and wish everyone a safe and pleasurable rest of their afternoon and evening. Thank you, everybody.